Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of FarmCon Conversations podcast. I'm co-host Todd Leckley with good friend Kevin Van Trum. Kevin, you there, my friend?
I'm here, buddy. How are you?
Good. Hey, I was just thinking today because I had an email from Jordan the other day. I'm like, dude, you probably haven't seen him much. He's been on the road since FarmCon, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah, shit. They've been everywhere, yeah. He's been at IPSA, the seed dealers, and then they were at, where'd they go? They were at CattleCon, and now they're out in Vegas for Nutrient, and then they go to a couple other places, and then Commodity Classic.
That's nuts. Yeah, I just think about that today.
Yeah, his wife, is getting a full taste of him being on the road as traveling salesman kind of. So, yeah, you know how that is.
We all been there, and then you got the kids and stuff, so that's awesome. No, good for them. He's doing a great job, and glad to see all that cool stuff happening. So we had a little Wisely report today. It didn't sound like too many fireworks, so get us up to date on corn, bean, and wheat, buddy.
Yeah, the Wisely report from yesterday is, like I said, it's probably pretty much, in my opinion, somewhat of a non-event. You had the corn, the USDA came out, bumped the corn exports higher, which I kind of figured that's what they would do. Left everything else unchanged. Net, lowered U.S. ending stocks from 2.27 billion down to 2.127 billion bushels. But at the same time, global ending stocks were lowered by 1.9 million metric tons from, it was around 290.9 down to 288.9, somewhere down in that area.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Net, the trade didn't seem too overly excited. To me, it was a bullish number, kind of like I said in the report. Nobody really jumped it. Nobody made a lot of moves. I'm still sitting here holding some bearish corn positions. I'm going to hold those, just see how things play out. I feel like the market wants to drift a little bit lower in the corn market before maybe we get a U.S. weather story or some type of second crop South American weather story. It's just tough right here, like I said, millions. I mean, you got over 2 billion bushel ending stock number, and you have demand already forecast at record high levels. It's tough to expect that the bulls are going to be able to find the headlines that just continually come out that are going to attract new and more new and more new and more new money flow to the buy side. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think we got to have a supply side story, meaning we got to have a weather issue or a hiccup for Brazil's second crop, or something has happened here in the U.S. where we don't plant as many acres as people are talking. A lot of people I'm talking to just don't think there's going to be a major cutback in these corn acres unless, maybe we get these beans up here hold up. Maybe the beans will hold up and push higher. Now maybe you'll have a little stronger rotation out of some of that corn acres, but you get corn acres up up by 96 million. It's going to be tough not to have a bearish outlook. So don't forget, we also have that USDA Ag Outlook Forum coming up. It's next week, but I think it starts Thursday and Friday of next week. So we'll talk about that in next week's podcast. But back to yesterday's USDA report, the soybeans, there really wasn't a whole lot to discuss. They left the U.S. balance sheet unchanged at 350 million bushels. They left Argentina's production unchanged, but they bumped Brazil higher from 178 to 180. And, the month before, they bumped Brazil higher from 175 to 178. Now they come back on top of that, moving from 178 to 180. Hell, I've got friends that are talking it should be, closer to 182 to 184. So, as I've been saying, it's a record crop already in Brazil, and it's a record crop that seems to be getting bigger and not smaller. So, there was also some rhetoric the USDA wrote in the report that people were kind of digesting as meaning, and it's probably, you probably could digest this either way. If you're bullish, maybe you could take it as being bullish. If you're bearish, a lot of the traders I'm friends with and talk to, view what the USDA said in the report, that President Trump had talked about China buying more beans, but if that occurred, it was almost as if they really probably wouldn't raise U.S. exports all that much, because it would just shift around globally who was exporting to who. So net probably not much change in U.S. balance sheet is at least how I took it. And with that in mind, I went out and, put on some bearish bean positions. So, we'll see. Like I said, I am, I'm nervous about the upside and the power of the bulls to push this thing higher if there's some big Chinese news. But I think ultimately prices have to drift back lower a little bit. as U.S. ending, I should say, U.S. ending stocks are, over 350 million bushels. And, you had the global number, I think jumped a little bit from 124.4 to 125.5. So, sitting in near record global ending stocks. So, like I said, I'm short some corn. I've been short some corn. I'm up a little bit in those positions. I'm now short some beans. Then we flip over and look at the wheat. I actually bought a little wheat today. So I'm going to be net. I'm short some corn, short some beans, and I'm long a little wheat now. There really wasn't much report. The USDA came out and lowered their feed usage. I should say the food usage number for wheat by 5 million bushels. And that pushed U.S. ending stocks higher. The trade was kind of thinking U.S. ending stocks would go a little lower, thinking that the USDA would bump U.S. export demand a little higher. They didn't do that. Instead, they pushed Argentina's production to record levels, pushed Argentina's exports up by 2 million metric tons. And, I think, in essence, I think that may be where some people thought some of that U.S. export demand was going to go to. I think the USDA is kind of telling us the USA, if there's a big uptick in demand, it's probably going to go to Argentina and Australia, where they harvested combined record production this last, on this new crop, and that their prices are pretty inexpensive. But we did finally stop the uptick in global ending stocks. We actually had a little bit of a downtick in global ending stocks. We moved from 278.25 down to 277.51 million metric tons. I think that's probably the high watermark. I think U.S. acres could be lower than they're currently looking at, the USDA. I've said that, though, before in corn last year, and I was wrong. So, I don't know. I think U.S. acres could be less than what people are saying. We're coming into a weather market. Typically, this time of year, we get into spring or, weather for the northern hemisphere. You could have some issues here, Russia, Ukraine, European Union, Canada. And if we get those weather concerns or issues, I think there's a chance you flush out a few more of the managed money bears that are holding those bearish positions, and I think you can get a little pop to the upside. And since I'm already short corn and beans, it's kind of a I don't know, kind of a weak way, I guess, to kind of throw a little hedge on to be long the wheat. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it plays out. I'm not overly excited about anything at the moment. I have the positions on, and we're just going to see how they work. From a marketing perspective, we didn't change any of our marketing. I am trying to sell a little more corn and a little more new crop corn, a little more new crop beans, if we can get a push to the upside or some unforeseen push further higher. So I am keeping an eye on that. I don't think wheat's ready as of yet. I don't think our window's probably here as of yet. Like I said, I had Feb, March, April kind of forecast. I'm probably going to have to move that more like maybe March, April, May, hopefully, as our window to price more wheat bushels. So, that's kind of where we're at, Todd, in the corn, bean, and wheat. So,
did you put your price targets down? I can't remember when you made that last sale Friday. Did you put your new price targets down? I think
you did. I can't remember exactly.
No. Well, yeah. So check that out if you're looking for that. So I was going to ask you. I was talking to a guy today. I mean, I'm guessing. I'm rookie here. That it's kind of. Would you recommend? I mean, guys, right now, especially with volatility, how it is, and how fast things come and go, that they need to have their orders in. I mean, with their brokers for catching these things like Trump's tweet, or you miss out.
Well, I always do. I always have my next sale in.
I know you do.
Whether it's grains or beans. I sometimes, a lot of times, I should say, I don't put my extended sales in, and I probably should. As you're talking, that if I wanted to be more disciplined, I just don't. Sometimes because I kind of want to see what the heck was all about. Like that, if I would have had it in there on that 50-cent pop we had, I may have made another sale there. But we were already sold out of beans in the old crop. So looking at new crop, I don't want to get much more than 40% price. I don't like to get much more. 30 to 40% is about all I like to get priced ahead of planting. So I'm a little expensive, and then I don't put the orders in. It's kind of a time thing too, Todd. So not just necessarily price, but time. And I think time's a huge component of marketing program, and a lot of people don't look at time, and I've said that a lot in the past several years. So, it's depending there. So I only have one more real sale I kind of want to make in beans ahead of planting. So I probably only have one resting order out there. So just to let you know, I mean, that's where I'm at. I do have other targets in mind, but I don't actually have the order in place as of yet on the next leg beyond the next one. So that's
the only reason I asked, and thanks for that. The only reason I asked, I was talking to you guys the other day, and it just occurred to me, I don't want to make anybody feel bad, but like, why wouldn't you have a price target in, especially with the volatile times now and getting those things sold? But anyhow, it makes sense. And then on your time comment, I mean, you've beaten that dog so well. And it is, I didn't realize how important it is. It's almost like getting compressed, when you get down at late 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, now you're throwing Hail Marys because you don't have time. So, guys,
that's the problem. That's what I ran into when I was a lot younger. I mean, I would just either keep kicking the can down the road or put my head in the sand or something, and then the next thing, I'm deep in the fourth quarter, like you're saying, trying to market a whole bunch of grain. So I pay a lot of attention to time constraints, and a lot of my decisions are based on my time constraints, which I know some guys don't like that because some guys probably don't have any time constraints, and they'll store 3, 4, 5 years of crop if they want, and that's fine. But me, I'm a little more disciplined on that. I like to get a certain amount done, and those are the bullets I shoot during that period, and I need to shoot them, and
right. Cool. Let's jump on over to your equity and other side of things. I know we've read about how volatile things are this week. We've seen good quarterly reports with bad stock numbers and stuff. So where are you at this week on your thoughts on maybe recent trades or any change of conviction on anything you're doing with your investments?
Probably not. I mean, I've added to gold on the break. I did buy the SLV. I kind of took a good position in it. That when we broke down there to sub $65 in silver, kind of triggered one of my price targets. So I got to telling Andy there down the front, I re-upped in the silver. I do have resting orders in, though, thinking that prices could get down around $44 in silver. I don't know. That's where I'm going to add a little more, 44, 43, somewhere right in there. I'll probably be adding to my positions in silver. Gold, I'm just long-term holder, fairly sizable, decent position in gold. I just trade the GLD ETF when I'm trading in my 401k or my stock accounts or any of my other accounts like that. I have traded futures some as of late. I should say in the last 6 months, but I haven't in the past probably 2 months, just because volatility is just nuts. I mean,
right?
It's just crazy. I just don't want to be sitting around trading, two lot and just getting my face ripped off or something. So I don't know. I just think I'd leave that for someone else at this time. So, we're just mostly trading in the ETFs. So yeah.
Cool beans. No recent auction purchases since I spoke to you last. I know. I always like to find out.
I think I told you I picked up a couple of Jordan. I picked up a couple of Jordan rookie cards. A few things like that. We've been bidding on a few different, I guess, but my take. I do the Jordan rookies. I do a couple of different Pokemon cards, mostly the Charizards. And
I know.
The baseball side, we just do Jackie Robinson rookies mostly. So we try to refine it. We don't get super diversified. I used to when I was more of a collector, but now I'm more of a.
That probably makes sense.
I do it to make money. I mean, and it's not really collecting. So I'll have, I have a lot of Jackie Robinson rookies, both the 48 Leaf and the 49 Bowman. I got out of the Mickey Mantles. I just got out of the Mickey Mantles about 4 or 5 years ago. Just who knows what the hell will come of the of some of these movements that we see. And I played golf with Mickey 3 different times, and great dude, but I just don't know how the world will view Mickey 20, 30 years from now. It seems like anybody that has a statue might get torn down, something they did somewhere 50 years ago. So that's kind of why I like the Pokemon, the Charizard play. Like I said, they're not going to go out and get a DUI, and they're not going to beat the shit out of their wife or girlfriend. I mean, these are fake characters, so it's like I don't have any chance of them really doing anything stupid. So, that's the play on that front. As far as new stock positions. Yeah, well, yeah, that's the way we looked at that on that.
That makes sense.
That's why we went more all in with the Charizard Pokemon card than we did.
Makes more sense.
The social aspects, and it's a broader market. It's just a lot broader marketplace. More people interested in that stuff.
Gotcha.
Not that I really am, but taking advantage of what other people are.
Yep.
Yeah, on the stock front, we didn't. We made a few. I'm still biggest position still in the XLI, which is the state. It's the industrial ETF. I don't know. Todd, are you in that, Todd? Or are you
not that one? No, I haven't gotten that one yet.
And basically, that's just, guys, the top holdings are CAT. So it's Caterpillar, GE Aerospace, Raytheon, GE Vernova, Boeing, Honeywell, Union Pacific, John Deere.
Gotcha.
So it's the companies I like. I do think, and think about it like this, is what I'm kind of trying to think about. All these tech companies, and I'm still buying big blue chip tech on the breaks, so don't get me wrong. But the XLI is my biggest position, and the only reason I'm doing that is because I'm trying to time up a little bit and capture where these knuckleheads are going to spend all these billions of dollars on AI. So like Caterpillar's had its big run. It isn't because of the machinery equipment. I mean, it's because everybody and their brother out there is needing and buying the CAT generators and a lot of the Caterpillar on-site construction equipment and all that type, lights and generators and you name it. And so you got to kind of think in your head, where are these people, these hyperscalers, who are they spending their money giving it to build these data centers, to build these things? And that's kind of where I think we may see a little bit stronger growth nearby. And, but obviously other people are thinking the same thing. So, maybe that trade's kind of going to come to an end, and then we'll shift back to where some of these hyperscalers or these big U.S. Tech players maybe make a bigger run. So, yeah, the XLI has been good. It's been probably one of my better investments, for over the course of the last year, 2 years. I mean, it's been strong for an ETF, let's put it that way. Not as strong as gold or anything like that, but I'm just saying, in comparison to Amazon or some of these that have really kind of gotten beat up and haven't really done anything, Amazon, Netflix, that kind of been dead money for quite a little while here. I added to Microsoft. I like Microsoft longer term, so on that big break, I was a buyer on that big dip. So I don't know. I'm still sticking, pretty much the same portfolios I've had.
Yeah.
Probably same amount of cash kind of on the sideline, just retooled a few different positions. I did blow out of a few of those software stocks that I tried to nibble on when they broke.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Well, I didn't end up. I just started looking at them. I'm like, I'm not going to fight this battle. Okay. And really what I did, Todd, was just ask myself, what positions in my portfolio am I willing to really defend if we hit a rough patch? And defend means really.
There wasn't
really deploy more capital. I don't want to piss more money away. No, I'm not going to defend them. I would defend a Microsoft and a Google and an Nvidia, and I'll defend Amazon and the gold. And so that that's where I sit in positions. It's like, you really got to ask yourself, if we have a big break or something comes along, are you going to defend each and every one of these positions? And the ones that in my opinion, the ones that you're going to defend the least, I'd probably just get rid of them.
Well, that makes sense. I just thought they broke so hard. I haven't looked at them, Kevin. I thought they broke hard enough where they were sitting down there where it didn't matter. They did, but no. Let's say you had stocks that went from $100 down to $60, or you had some that went from $300 to $100. Well, there's still plenty of meat left to take them lower. No, I got you. Yeah,
I'm just not going to be in that battle. So.
Now let me ask this though: are you keeping your eye on that thing? Will you potentially look after the first 4 or 5 top ones there when this thing starts maybe consolidating and we realize AI is not going to put software out of business?
Meaning? Look back. Oh, the software stuff. No, I still own HubSpot. I still own Spotify. I still own a few. But when I kind of jumped in there on the big breaks, I just peeled them off and took the loss.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into some macro stuff, man. We've been writing about labor markets. There's been a lot of talk about labor markets with recent data that came out, and we kind of got, I kind of appreciate your comments and regarding to that we're kind of getting back to pre-COVID levels, but there's people out there saying that, man, we're looking at, potentially decoupling of GDP and employment stuff. So I just wanted to get add some color to your thought, and then we'll talk about AI doing a little bit, because AI was 7% of the layoffs, it looks like, this last go around. But I mean, give a big picture on this labor market and the factors where you might see it.
What are you thinking when you're saying GDP decoupling? And
well, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, get a little more color there.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I'm reading this stuff offline, and I, respected people, that guy that's on CNBC all the time, Muhammad El, whatever his name is, I apologize, but Wharton professor. He's just like, dude, I mean, when you got GDP going up and employment going down, and the economy's fine, and yet we're losing employment. But that's where the decoupling comes to. His point is that, most layoffs since 2009, at least jobs announced since 2009. So the numbers are there, but if you lose the broad perspective that you, in my opinion, added in regards to, we're just falling back to pre-COVID levels, then it's a great case, So what side do you look at? Are you personally worried from a standpoint of that, man, that this thing is going to slip away from us, the labor market? It's just going to keep, been a lot of layoffs lately. They're going to keep coming hard and heavy, I guess I'm asking. And your thoughts?
I don't know, and that's a tough question. But what do you think then happens to the businesses? So that's what I'm trying to say. Are we talking the economy, or are we talking the stock market?
No, we're talking economy.
I always get those two people get those mixed up.
No, we do, and keep me on. I guess I think we're talking about the economy and the data point.
Does anyone care about the economy? I don't know.
Okay, and then there's that.
I mean, that's the whole. That whole debate where it's like, if it's a recession, if I lose my job, if my neighbor loses his job, it's a recession. But if I lose my job, it's a depression, right? You following me there, Tia?
No, exactly. Okay. Well,
but does anyone care? What I'm asking you is this. If you're asking me in perspective to the stock market, meaning we have this decoupling, employment's going to go down, GDP is going up. So that means companies are more profitable.
Yeah.
Well, so the stock market's probably going to hang in there. But the economy, the wealth divide could get insane, right?
Well, it's already getting in, yes, definitely. The tech economy is going to get worse and worse, and we'll be talking about that in the report here next on Thursday. All right, so you help me each time.
I'm assuming that's kind of what you're talking about right there.
It is, Kevin, but hey, listen, man, every time we have a conversation, people got to realize, you and I don't prep these things, man. We talk during the week a couple times, and we get on here, and I'm trying to educate myself on some more macro deals. So I can think of twice in the last 2 times you've had to kind of straighten me out, markets or economy. And you're right. Nobody cares. I mean, do people care in a sense because the market?
Yeah, well, I care. I mean, like here's why I care. What about, say, my kid's business, say Ag Swag? Well, if you lay off a lot more people, that's a lot less swag. People are going to have fewer employees. They're going to buy less clothes. Same if you have people that own a restaurant, or they own a bar, or they own any service industry, hotels, or so. Yes, if Americans lose jobs, you're going to have a ton of businesses get really hit. I mean, hit hard. Now, the tech companies might not, because they're going to retool, right? So I think it could get tricky. So I did, I used to own some tire shops and automotive repair places. And so when we did deep dive on tire, I mean, I went nuts on the tire industry. I did deep dives on tires like you've never seen. And I thought I was going to be the next Les Schwab and build a tire empire. And we did great. It was a good bit. And like I always tell Jordan, I'm like, I think it's a hell of a business model. But anyway, if you look back, though, through history, the tire industry is interesting because you go back to probably, say, prior to, I could say the 60s, but let's just say prior to the 1970s, most of the tires produced here in the U.S. were basically a bias ply tire. They were bias ply construction. Like, they just had fabric laid down, mostly diagonal, crisscross pattern, and then rubber kind of placed on top of them. Well, then, I think it was in the 40s or maybe early 50s, Michelin invented a different way to do tires, and they made like the radial. It became the radial is what it's known for, but it was kind of a different design, different thing. So the radial tire ended up lasting probably 2 or 3 times longer than the bias ply tire, just because the construction created less friction on the road, didn't get as hot. So they lasted longer, and they were slightly more fuel efficient. Actually, they tried to say, I think the radial tire, I think, gave vehicles maybe 5% better fuel economy. So there was a slight edge there, enough to make someone kind of change, right? And then the oil shock hit, and probably, what was that, early 70s, mid-70s?
Yeah.
Somewhere between 70 and 75. You had the oil shock hit, and, everybody kind of started to focus on more fuel efficiency and spending less on their vehicles and all that jazz. So the radial tire just went nuts, and people really grabbed onto it. But you got to think of this, that it put the U.S. domestic tire industry, that's where the U.S. tire industry just got crippled and collapsed, in my opinion, because they were all tooled, and their factories were all set up for the bias ply tires, so they couldn't produce the radials on any of the same equipment range. So they had to shut down and retool all of their factories. Well, when they did the retooling, they started to see that Michelin was importing tires now into the U.S. They were having a tough time keeping up with them from a money standpoint, and the radial tires were lasting a lot longer than the bias ply tires. So you had a real pinch, because you had the number of tires that were being produced going down dramatically because they were lasting 2 to 3 times longer. You had now competition from overseas, which you didn't have in the past. So it's kind of like this tech industry, if you think about it a little bit, right? Like, as this AI goes and goes, and we I guess almost end up with no borders. I mean, you're going to have pressure from other countries. China, look what they're doing. Look at the pressure they put on Musk with the driverless cars. I mean, they're going to create them cheaper and better, and it's putting a ton of pressure on. You've seen GM pivot out, Ford pivot out. You saw Musk shut down his warehouse, and he's going to pivot that to robots. So all I'm telling you is it's kind of similar to how this played out, what you've seen in the tire, but it just collapsed our tire industry. And the thing to think about is this. Everyone always says, well, new technology always brings on new and different jobs, right? And you've even heard me say it to some degree. Yep. But if you look at that tire industry, that did not happen. That did not happen, TL. Like, the switch to radial tires decimated the U.S. tire industry. And look at Akron, Ohio. Look at the population in Ohio, where Akron was kind of thought of to be the U.S. capital for tire manufacturing, because that's where Goodyear was at. I think, if I'm not mistaken, like I can't remember, it was probably the 70s into the 80s. I mean, you had Akron, the population of Akron, Ohio, like cutting third. And so, yeah, I'm worried that a retooling. Here's the problem, Todd. If we get a massive recession, or we get some type of serious recession, or even a stagflation or depression or something like that, where it really hits the U.S., and a lot of these companies are forced to lay people off, they ain't hiring them back. I don't think they're hiring them back. I think they switched to AI. That's the switch to AI, kind of like COVID, right? A lot of these companies look at the leg from COVID higher in the S&P. Well, because a lot of the people quit or laid off, and these companies figured out how to be more efficient and make more money without as many people. And a lot of them brought on more robots. Look at Amazon, how many robots they brought on during COVID. Look at all these other. So I'm telling you, another major break. You won't probably retool and refuel with new humans. You probably retool and refuel with more non-humans, more AI. So that's, hell yeah, that's concerning to me. I mean, it's concerning. It isn't necessarily concerning to me from my own personal wealth standpoint, but it's concerning to me as a nation that this wealth divide gets goofier and goofier, and we end up with more and more people homeless, out of work, no jobs, especially the youth, and bad things start to happen. So, yeah, I'm worried about that.
Well, that is the bigger.
Kids and grandkids. Yeah, that's a concern for me.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because you touched on a couple key things that I didn't want to go down. But I do want to say this because we put it in the report a number of times. Because I was going to ask you, I was going to say, does even all that matter? Decoupling, whatever. And you kind of address that. But then I said, okay, man, I wanted to ask you on a broader thought, regarding AI tech advancements, and you touched on that. But what's its purpose and goal? Make life more easier, make us more comfortable, give us more free time. I mean, it seems that's what everybody's trying to do, and we're going to have in-home robots soon. But it reminded me, Kevin, of that tweet we put out there. It says, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. And I just wonder, man, with all this technology coming, it's going to make a lot of weak people. I mean, we already see weak thinkers because of all the scrolling and da-da-da-da. So it brings up
that's
much.
what my grandpa said, and his grandpa said, and his grandpa said. So, I mean, right?
That's what you tell me.
Same thing. I'm just saying. It's what my great-grandpa said. I heard my grandpa say it. I heard my dad say it. I'm saying it right now about my kid. I mean, we all say the generations behind us are weak or knuckleheads or don't know or, because everything's changed so much. I mean, everything changes so much, and that's why we look like we're fishes. We believe that everybody's a fish out of water. But we're actually probably the fish out of water. I mean,
okay, but how many times have we written stories on third generation screws it all up because they're the weak one?
I'm not sure they screw it all up. I take a different stance on that as I've learned, as I've interviewed and met more people. I take a different stance on that because I said this before. I've been on a lot of these podcasts, and I've gotten the awesome opportunity to interview some really great families in agriculture. And one young gentleman changed my perspective on a lot of things. And, the reason the third generation fails is because here it is. Generation one goes out and just works their ass off and has big balls and makes a play. All right? And they're in the right place at the right time, hard work and a little bit of luck. They hit a good lick. Second generation, seen how hard first generation had work, was part of it when they just had one truck, one trailer, and one cow. So he was there. That second generation saw him go from nothing to a nice big operation. Dad, the original dad, who to the second generation son, he provides no training. Says, I didn't have any training. I did this shit on my own with hard work and just got out there and hustled and worked hard. So he gives second son no training. Great. Second son, by growth, just by sheer momentum and growth, second son ends up with 16 trucks, 600 head of cattle, 4,000 acres, and all kinds of shit on the farm, right? Okay, he says to the third son, yeah, my dad didn't give me shit for training. You don't need no shit. Get out there, hustle, do some hard work, make this happen. Well, a whole different game, bro. Like, this kid's got now 16 trucks to manage. He's got 4,000 acres to manage, 600 head of cattle. Old Pop, the original, he had one cow, one truck, and that was it. So I'm not listening to this nonsense anymore that the third generation just is retarded and don't know what they're doing. I think a lot of the problem is us old folks give them the training we received, which was nothing, and we expect them to take and run with something that is an entirely different entity than what we grew when we started with nothing. And to ask someone to come in and to handle it when it's already massive is ludicrous. So I don't buy that anymore. And
right, that's good points, brother.
I'm not on that page. So I listen, like I said, I've heard every generation say 3 generations deep, they're all knuckleheads, they don't know what's happening, the whole world's going to fall apart, and these people are idiots. So I don't believe that. I look at ACT score, I look at everything. I think kids are way smarter than we were, and I think they know way more than I know. And just because it's different, doesn't make it necessarily wrong. It just makes it different from our perspective. So I like to get the young kids on my team, try to keep me up to date.
No, you always have. I remember when I first got there, that's how you did a lot of your stock stuff. I remember you asking Kennedy about Adobe years ago and who's using what, this and that and stuff. You've always done that. But dude, that minority, I don't even want to get into that debate on our kids smarter because with all that. We're seeing a lot of stuff that brings that into question.
Well,
but the ones
your daughter, my daughter, they're way smarter than you
no.
And
no
that's just where it is. So and that's the tricky part of all this. It's like, you rely, as we get older, we rely so much on what is in the rearview mirror and so much less on what we should be thinking is going out of the front window. And if we just spend most of our time looking out of the rearview mirror, I suspect we're going to go in reverse more than forward. So I try not to do that. Yeah.
No doubt. All right, I want to touch on this real quick too, because I mean we talk about debt a lot. We have plenty of stuff in there. It's always coming up in the news, but I mean it's getting pretty serious. We see tweets every time when it gets above a new level, but it sounds like that we may have a little wiggle room in there because we print our own currency and stuff. But touch on that, man. How long can this continue? I mean, because ain't nothing good coming of it to get this out of debt. And, I mean, but maybe explain to folks, it may not be as bad as it seems because we do print our own currency and how that alleviates or maybe buys more time.
Well, I don't know that. I'm not going to go down that bad. It's probably as bad as it seems. I mean, but it's been as bad as it seems for the past 30 years. I mean, 25, 30 years. I mean,
so what do we do? So what's the answer?
This isn't anything to do. I mean, it's global. When the world figured out they could, borrow against their own money, you have global debt balance sheet continuing to just increase and skyrocket. I mean, I told you before a million times. I mean, I don't even need to address this anymore. I mean, I think at some point there's a great global reset. I don't know what that means or what it looks like. I think everybody owes everybody is what it currently feels like. And at some point, everybody's just going to say, great, just erase it on. Here we go. Start from there. Why not? They did the same. I mean, you sit here and say, oh, there's no way that happens. Well, shit, they did the same thing with taking money off the gold standard. I mean, what do you mean? They can't just wave their wand and away it goes? I mean, they just print money out of thin air, basically. So why can't they just wave a wand and take it out of thin air? I mean,
why do we always seem to work so hard, the politicians especially, the big-time business people, work so hard to figure out how to fix something?
There's nobody figuring shit out, in my opinion. I mean, what are you talking about? The debt continues to go higher. We're what, 38, 39 trillion? I mean, nobody's figured anything out except how to rob Peter and pay Paul, and that's it.
That's what I'm saying. When do we address that?
It's a shell game. Yeah, I mean, I have no clue what they're going to do. You looked at I had that on FarmCon. You look at the fiscal budget, I wouldn't want the job as president to try and balance the books. There's no way possible, dude. You're going to piss off 3/4 of the world.
Okay, and that's my contention. So, this is our biggest problem. And we're afraid to hurt someone's feelings to do things that are right. That's all I want to say on that one. I mean, it just seems there's got to be pain felt to fix a lot of these issues. That's all. Whether it be welfare. I mean,
but here, I sit here, and then I'll go back to your previous statement. Well, sure in the hell wasn't our kids that got us into this position. Now was it? So,
well, no.
I mean, it was us. It was our age, and it was our parents.
I know.
So, I think you talk about knuckleheads. I mean, it wasn't our kids that got us into this predicament. It was us. And nobody wanting to take steps backwards. I mean, that's the whole deal. I mean, it's just, Todd, come on. It's just like the data centers. It's just like the pipelines. Everybody's for everybody else taking a step backward except themselves.
Yeah, it reminds me, though, it reminds me you used to say about the red-blooded American that, yeah, I'm all for the war until you call my son up for duty. But,
that's what I'm saying. That's everybody. That's everything anymore.
That is everybody. You're right. No. It is. Okay.
Yeah. And it's just all what you stand against and not what you're for. So we're just going to sit and bitch.
Bingo.
Everyone's going to bitch, but nobody's going to want the pipeline coming through their farm. Nobody's going to want the data center next to their yard. And nobody's sure in the shit going to want to pay more taxes to help balance the budget. So, I mean,
all right. Yeah, well, there you go.
That ain't going to happen. So
no, it isn't. But then the game is how to move forward. Well, no one wants to do that. So that's where we get some of these
well,
crazy
I think that's
outcomes.
why the country's in a little bit of a pinch, right?
Yes,
I mean,
I agree. So speaking of pinches, man, potential pinches, you wrote a nice story. You throw some good data out there today on U.S. population. That's another thing we see a lot in different tweets and this and that. But with the immigration issues and stuff and what we got, the direction we're going, I mean, that's going to have an effect on the economy here again. I mean, soon in 20 years or something like that, doesn't it? And then when AI,
you're trying to really stir up some good stuff today, aren't you? No, I've always been for immigration. I've always been for legal immigration. Let's put it that way.
Bingo.
Legal immigration. I'm for legal immigration. And I got to believe that's what 80-90% of everybody is for, right? Like, I can't.
Why not?
There's nobody that I know out there saying, oh, yeah, I'm for illegal immigration. I mean, I don't hear anyone saying that on either side of the – yes, I do hear the left defending people who have come in illegally, so I guess you could say yes.
Yes, we got to make that clear. Make that clear.
But I'm not hearing anybody get on stage and say I'm all for illegal immigration. I mean, they're allowing some of this craziness, but we all know, and this is the worry, and everyone knows all this already. The worry is the white population, white Americans, myself, yourself, whatever we did wrong or weird in our families, as a whole, not talking to everyone, as a whole, nobody having any kids, nobody having any grandkids, not enough, let's put it that way. So there's no way we're going to sustain this country with the current white population.
Agreed.
Well, everyone knows. Everyone sees that, right? Now, you tell me why that happened. Now, you tell me where the hell that went wrong. And whether we want to sit and debate whether it was women in the workforce, whether it was whatever it may be, there's something went wrong there. And so we have to have immigration. There's not even an option. We have to have immigration.
Yep.
And, you know, this, I don't think it happens this year, maybe next year. Maybe you have a downtick in U.S. population, which, yes, is from an economic standpoint somewhat scary, because the secret sauce has always been we continue to grow our population and add more and more people. Well, that helps drive more and more demand, more consumer spending, more taxes collected. The cycle can spot like where Japan or where China is about to peak and go down, and you know that's worrisome. But I don't know how the heck we get the white kids to start having more babies, and I feel like you're going to have bringing in immigration to some stance that still like to have big, large families. And, you know, that's where I said, I think that's great. I wish we could get it where it happens, I guess, easier or quicker for some people or however that may play out. I don't have those answers, but I think you got to have borders, and I think you got to have, you know, a good immigration policy that allows people to come into our country, good people, vetted, you know, those things. I don't know. I was thinking about that with the whole ICE thing, the way it's playing out. But here's shit pissed me off. So like in Minnesota, one of my buddies was he with the FBI. He was one of the law enforcement agencies. But I remember a few months back, he sent me a thing and said, no more traffic stops. So if you got stopped in Minnesota on a traffic violation, they couldn't prosecute you for anything else other than that traffic violation. Meaning, you know, I'm speeding, I get pulled over, but I'm carrying a bunch of drugs. Well, they can't arrest me for the drugs and try me. They can only give me the ticket for the speeding. And he said, he was law enforcement, he's like, shit, I bet 90% of our arrests of bad people come from those traffic stops. And I said, no shit, obviously. I mean, right? But then they're not going to allow them to go further and, you know, prosecute them if they had a warrant or prosecute them if they had whatever. I mean, that's all nuts to me. But I thought, why couldn't it be something as simple as this? If you're an illegal and you get pulled over or you write a bad check or whatever, whatever may happen, you get pulled over by the police, you get this, you get that, you get arrested for shoplifting, you do anything. That's it. You just get caught, you're snagged, and you're sent back to your country. Period. End of story. And that's it. I mean, that way you're getting rid of all the bad illegals, and the good illegals are probably going to end up staying and sticking around. Because I remember back when Reagan put that big immigration policy in place, he let all the current illegals stay. I think it was like 3 or 4 million they thought was in play, and then they put harder guidelines in place. All I'm saying is ICE is running into all these headwinds everywhere they go with these protesters and people not being properly trained and crazy violence and everything. All I'm saying is maybe you just wait until they slip and mess up, and then people that mess up and they're not legal, they got to be deported back to their country. And, you know, I'm just talking out loud. I don't have any solutions.
And that's what we do. So let me ask you this, though.
Yeah, so you got to have some way, though, to get the bad actors who are illegals out of the country. I mean, come on. I told you, one of them killed my buddy. I mean, he was on a motorcycle and hit him head on and killed him. He was illegal. He had 3 DWIs, had no insurance. They had never deported him, catch and release 3 different times on this cat. And then when the accident came about and hit, they still weren't going to do anything. It took some government officials, some high-up government officials, to come in and kind of put the hammer down, and finally got the guy prosecuted and sent back to wherever he was from. But it's like, my goodness. I mean, it's just crazy. The whole catch-release thing's beyond my comprehension. So,
well, let me touch one more thing on your comment regarding having more babies, whether it's white, whatever. But, we do a lot of things to incentivize behaviors in society, whether it be overtaxing, trying to get people to quit doing something, or to provide subsidies, even in farming, CRP stuff. Is it possible? And it didn't. I mean, China paid families to have babies, didn't they?
Well, we paid families during World War. After World War II, that was why the baby boomers came about.
We were paying them.
I mean, we gave incentive to have more kids, and at the same time, you had all the GIs returning. Lots of people having a little fun, and then some incentive to do so, and that's what created the boomers. I don't know though, Todd. I think kids are just different today. I mean, I think they have hopes and aspirations. I don't know. I just think things are a lot different. They don't want to have big families. There's a lot more responsibility comes to that. I've even said openly and publicly, I say that I always thought you should tax once you get to like 30 or something. Like you should be taxed higher if you're single and you have no kids, or if you're dual income, no kids. You should be taxed way higher, not just this little child care tax write-off I get once, for having kids. But that shit don't stop at 18 like it did for my taxes, you know what I'm saying, or 22. I'm still donating or contributing to things for my kids. And I've got family that don't have any kids, gay people that don't have any kids. I think they should be taxed a lot higher. All of us who raise good citizens that contribute and then build businesses and create tax revenue and labor revenue. I mean, come on. The people that aren't doing that, I think they're on a little bit of a free ride. And, I think our country and nation was built on raising big families and trying to have big families and doing all you can to help the kids and grow the family. So that's just my take on it. And I think we have to keep that going somehow. And we've lost sight of that to some degree. You would probably agree, right?
No, I would. And speaking of your takes, you gave me a take yesterday that we're now going to address and you're going to share. Super Bowl, Bad Bunny, who watched it, who didn't, why, wherefore, and your views on separating the difference between whether you like somebody or not, respecting, what they do. So let's hear it, man. Bad Bunny, did you watch him?
Well, at first, hats off to the Seahawks fans. I mean, hell, damn, they played a hell of a game. I mean,
yes, they did.
Their defense is tough. I like seeing New England. I mean, the young kid didn't have a very good outing, but seems like a good kid at the quarterback position. I like Venable, and it looks like both teams are going to be pretty salty and right there the next few years.
You would think.
I had a little side bet, lost. I went ahead and took New England. A guy gave me 5.5 points, and I thought that was too many points and shit. That wasn't close, so I lost a little there. And I thought the under looked pretty good. And that was a decent play. But
what was it over under? What was it?
That's 45.5 when I was messing around. So, I will tell you an interesting bet when we move on to that time. But I talked Jordan's out in Vegas for that nutrient thing, and the line came out yesterday. Someone told me it was 1,500 to 1 on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl next year. So I told Jordan I was either going to throw $1,000 at it, maybe $10,000. I don't know. But if you did throw 1,000, say 1,000, you got a chance to win 150,000. But I was saying maybe throwing $10,000 at it, and you get a chance to win 1.5 million. But my thoughts were, if the Chiefs got to the Super Bowl, I'd bet the other side of the bet. I'd probably throw $500,000 on the other team, and then you probably stand a chance to win $500,000 or $1 million regardless. So,
dude, the Chiefs,
I don't know. It's an interesting play. I know the Chiefs are decimated, right? Where I got Kelsey gone and Mahomes coming back off the knee thing, but like I said, they're a tough team at times, and I feel a little hesitant to think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I think they could maybe get back to the Super Bowl. So I figured this would be the year that the odds makers would give them a real lowball kind of chance for making it with no Kelsey and Mahomes on the knee issue. So maybe something to look at. Even throw $10. $10 get you $10 will get you what? $15,000.
That's nuts.
100.
I mean, dude,
1,500 to 1. He'd have to bet $100. Excuse me, $100 to get you $15,000.
Yeah. Well, why don't you go do that across 7 or 8 teams? You'd have to. I mean, anyway, there's got to be a bet there.
You could do that like that. I've seen guys do that.
Get your money.
Guys will pick 10 teams, throw a small amount at each.
Why not? Interesting. I didn't know that, but no, I think Kelsey's coming back. I'm pretty sure, pal. Just in case you didn't know, you said he might not be coming back. I think he's coming back.
But is that good or is that? I don't even know. Is that good?
Who knows?
I mean, I love what Kelsey's done for the Chiefs, but like I said, he is getting a little older, and I suspect he
is. But the biggest piece there,
okay, financially.
Biggest piece there is that.
So it'll be interesting.
Eric Bieniemy's coming back as coach. We're gonna get the 2022 offense back. So there you go.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, I mean,
I'm with you. So,
but I thought there could be some interesting early wagers placed out there. So
I never thought about that. That's a good idea. We should look into that.
On the halftime show, on the halftime show, Michelle and I sat around and we were talking about it, and we didn't do anything. We stayed here. I had some work to do and some other stuff. I talked to a couple buddies on the phone that we were all kind of betting again. But no, Michelle and I thought, I said, which one are we going to watch? And I stayed with I said, I want to see this Bad Bunny cat. And, I just like to see new stuff. I like to have my mind, just, I guess, try out something new. And like I said, I've been to a ton of Kid Rock concerts in my day, and I've seen a lot of those other people play. We're big country music fans, and I thought, well, hell, I've never seen Bad Bunny. I don't even know what the hell he does, and I'll see what this is all about. So I did a little research. I had seen some of my buddies post on it that he had burned a flag or he was wearing some woman's dress, and I looked all that up. I mean, those were all AI images created, and I figured as much, but I had some of my old buddies and friends, if you watch that, you're a knucklehead and da-da-da-da-da. But, I thought he put on a hell of a show. I give the guy credit, and this is just me. A guy comes over here, he is a legal citizen, he doesn't really speak the greatest of English, and he wins Album of the Year in the United States. He would take home 3 Grammys, and he's asked to sing in the Super Bowl. Hell, I got to tip my hat to the guy, is all I say. I tip my hat. The guy's worked his ass off, and, to get where he's at, I'm sure. And I couldn't understand a damn thing he was saying. On any of the songs looked like everybody was having a good time and having fun. And kind of as he said in his interview, his music's kind of, you don't need a lot of language. It's just people were having a good time. It reminded me of being down in Florida or southern Florida and, a lot of the same music being played. And, I thought it was fine. So, I didn't have one way or the other way. I was cool with it.
What my first thought was, and you will remember this, my first trip with you to Fargo, North Dakota, in the middle of winter, we pull into a bar at 11 o'clock at night, the first night, and the TV's on, or whatever, 10, 11, and there's this dude singing, and going back to your Southern Florida type, Cuban type of deal, and I shoot my mouth off.
It was Pitbull. I remember
it was Pitbull. I know. It was Pitbull.
And I had a chance. I'd met the guy a couple times, and I said,
I didn't. You never told me that.
Yeah. And you said, the hell with the guy. You just went off on some big rant.
Anybody do that.
But I think all you knew about the guy was his name, and you thought if any idiot's going around calling himself Pitbull, this guy must be a complete idiot.
The point,
the
point is this.
I hear you. And then, I just said, no, he was, seems like he's worked his ass off. And that's all.
Because I mean, me, I'm basically a decent guy, but I mean, I spouted off just an easy opinion to shoot it out there because from what what we always talk about, sitting in the stands making comments, and you're just like, dude, the guy's done this, didn't stop and look at it like that. It's a Bad Bunny the same way because a lot of people will probably be pissed if someone watched it just because they don't like him, and it's like, no, dude, I mean, you don't know the guy, so it's really hard to make that case. So anyhow. No, all right.
It's easy as hell, but like I said, that doesn't really mean. Here's my whole thing. I'm just this. I want to give most everyone the benefit of the doubt who I think have come from nothing, worked their ass off, and made a mark for themselves in here in our country, and and have been good law-abiding citizens, haven't done anything crazy, haven't tried to hurt people or kill people or anything nuts, and I tip my hat to those people. So I may not even like them, but I'm going to respect them and just tip my hat to say, hey, you did a good job. You've worked hard. I don't really like you, but hey, I am going to respect the fact you did work hard to get where you're at. And that's all I say, just because, I didn't, like kids that are maybe in plays and stuff, or they do dance, or I didn't do any of that in school. I just played sports, and, a lot of sports kids made fun of this. I look back, and I'm like, that was ridiculous. That was silly. These kids had a lot different skills, and they worked just as hard as I did to be good at sports. They worked just as hard at whatever their extracurricular activity. And so, and if they got to the high level, and because of that hard work and everything, I got to tip my hat. It's just because I don't like something or it's not my cup of tea, I don't feel like, I should, I guess, be negative towards them. So.
It is amazing that we still have these kind of conversations this far along in culture and history. But here's what I do miss. I know you're going to agree. This will be my party comment. Is I do miss the days when you could make fun of somebody and not be called a racist for it. I mean, dude, no one's got a sense of humor anymore. Where you just
like saying the word retarded, right? Like my daughter, my daughter-in-law. I mean, she's got a PhD. She works with handicapped children every day, severely autistic. So when she first came around, and I'd say that word. I mean, she would just say, "Hey, you need to say a different word." But when she would tell me the different word to say, I always felt like, well, then isn't that word going to take on that same context? I didn't mean anything derogatory.
Right.
But yes, I understand languages that goes into that whole he, she, they, them shit that I can't get my head around. But no, I'm with you. But it's definitely interesting.
No, we can talk
definitely
about
interesting dynamics. I got a bunch of buddies, not a bunch, but I got 3 or 4 buddies that are superintendents of some pretty big high schools, and we'll get together from time to time and chat. But they made an interesting comment. I said, what the hell's changed? Got these kids in trench coats all over, furries, kids going around with tails and shit on, and just weird stuff, crazy. And I know all 3 of them. We'd all played football at different places, but we'd all played a couple times together on small star teams and stuff. And they were like, the pecking order is just gone in school. And I said, what do you mean? And they're like, well, you kind of remember the kind of the jocks kind of kids, like teachers kind of be like, hey, go knock shit out of that kid over there. Him and his squirrely friends are getting out of line or so. You know what I'm saying? There was kind of a pecking order, and that's gone. I mean, if you get in a fight now, it's shit. I mean, you're doing like counseling and stuff, like you're in therapy for like abuse. I'm serious. I mean,
I know you are. I think
Jordan had that. Jordan got in a fight at school, and I think he had to go to some violence therapy thing and some other counseling sessions and. Shit, I don't know, and he got in several fights, in college and other places, same type of thing. But when you take the pecking order out of there, well, now kids, anybody can just do whatever the hell they want, and it's which I guess is what people want, right?
But they think they want, yeah.
I guess some. I mean, but like I said, I think everybody can get a lane now to get in, and it's kind of scary. Like Jordan was saying, he's like. Before long, just like the Super Bowl thing, right? We used to all be kind of close because we only had 3 channels to watch. We all watched Happy Days or Laverne and Shirley and other shit, and whatever it may be, we all watch things. Well, now anybody can get in their own lane, and they never have to view anything they don't want to view. So that's kind of why I made myself watch the halftime show, because. I mean, our whole life, we can do anything we want. And like you and I talked the other day, Todd, all these algorithms are going to just keep feeding us only what we want to see. And it's become so much harder to figure out what's true and not true, right? Like I'm out here having to research if Bad Bunny actually burned a flag or didn't burn a flag. And, everything came back that he didn't. But like I said, it's crazy because my feeds were filled with him burning a flag. So
right.
That's only going to continue to get worse and worse. So that's why I try not to let myself be pulled in the direction that these computers know I'm going to be pulled. I mean, they say an older white male they're going to feed me all this kind of stuff. And I just want to try and not let them put me and pigeonhole me into the category that they deem I need to be. So it's tricky. To me, it's tricky as an investor. I mean, it's hard to figure out if it's real news, fake news, propagated news. Did someone make this to fit their agenda?
I tell you
80
what,
or 90% is, right?
But yeah, before I send you a lot of tweets sometimes, those macroeconomic ones, I'm kicking it into Grok or whatever and just saying, is it true? Just so I can get the fact. I mean, I don't care if it's opinion.
But is that even true then?
Well, but I'm getting other facts true. I mean, he can verify the facts. I mean, if a guy's saying unemployment was 500 million, but then you do get a lot of good insight about, no, this guy's just being very opinionated. This guy's making whatever. So I'm comfortable. At least I'm getting the facts right. Now, this guy has an opinion, whatever. But no, you're right, dude. I even got to the point, Kevin, where I started clicking all the things that were anti my echo chamber, just so that I would try and trick the algorithm, so I would look at it as a neutral instead of a, leaning, moderate to leaning right, just so I can get some different news, man.
Well, I told you I'll pull up a 4-screener in my office. I'll have a 4-screen split screen going on my TV, the big TV. It'll have CNBC, MSNBC, CNN, CNBC, CNN, MSNBC, and I'll have Bloomberg. And it just cracks me up. I'll call Michelle in every once in a while, the kids over when they're here, and be like, watch this, just watch it. I mean, it's the exact same topic, and you talk about a spin. I mean, holy shit. I mean, MSNBC will spin it this way. These guys will spin it that way. I'll have Fox on there, too. Don't get me wrong. I'll throw Fox in. I just start pulling Bloomberg up because I like some of the Bloomberg news, the way they got it listed on it. It's kind of like my trading platform. So I always have Fox. But you look at the different, like, you could pick any topic. I don't care what Trump does. Just pick a topic. And watch how MSNBC or CNN spin it, and then watch how Fox. I mean, it's just unbelievable how much a difference of a perspective both news agencies, all those news agencies had. So same thing like you're saying, Todd, when we were on our news feeds on X or Twitter or any of them. I mean, there's just such a divergence in one person's feed versus another on actually the same exact thing that happened. And it's crazy to me. So.
Well, and I got, during COVID, it was the worst. And I got so sick of seeing the adjectives that the media would use to do, like you said, the same set of facts, but all of a sudden the adjective they throw in there to make their case was like, are you serious? Anyhow, brother, that's all I got.
Look at COVID. COVID was a great example. Look at the massive difference between those that got vaxes and those that didn't, in the research that they were reading, both parties, right? The ones that did get the vaxes or the ones that didn't get the vax. I mean, and like I said, I had a ton of my friends that didn't get vaxxed. Michelle and I did get the vaccine, but I got a ton of great friends that didn't. And hell, I've listened to, like even you, I've listened to your stories. You didn't get vaxxed, right? You never did.
Right. No.
Yeah, and I've listened to all your data and research, and I listened to other people. I mean, shit, I don't know who's right or wrong. I be honest with you, I have no damn clue. I hear you. They make a decision, do what that's what I think is supposed to happen, right? Everybody's supposed to look at the data they want to look at and make their decision based on, what fits them best. Just like I think everyone should go vote their position, and I think that's what it should be. And I suspect the more and more our country becomes diversified and fewer and fewer traditional white Americans are in place, I think you're going to see a lot of things become different. And but you and I have to know that that's okay. Like, we might not like it, but it's certainly okay because we're telling people to go vote their position. So when you sit here and that's that damn Bad Bunny halftime show. I guess he must be wildly, crazily popular. They had some huge turnout. I mean, he sold a shitload of records, and he won Album of the Year. So, like I'm just saying, he must be wildly popular, even though he's not wildly popular in my house. So I just think it's different. We've never heard that in the United States. I've never heard like, hey, this guy's playing Spanish music and Spanish lyrics, and he's on the top of the charts. It's like, are we in a different planet? I don't think we are. I think we're right here in the United States.
We're in a different time, that's for sure.
Different time, buddy. Different time, right?
We just forget. Dude, I'm getting ready to turn 60 next month. I'm like, what? Kevin, I went to college 40 years ago? Are you kidding me? You used to make fun of guys. The worst part of your deal. Yeah, the worst part of your deal is like you're 60 but going on 75. And that is the problem, Todd. Shut your mouth. No, hey, that's all I got for today, brother. Unless you got something you want to throw out there that we missed.
No, I think, let's hope these grain prices, I we're getting into planting season. I hope we can catch a bull. I'd love to get a bull story in wheat. Obviously, I'm long some wheat, but I think if wheat could clear out and you could bust wheat back up 650, maybe give room for corn to make a little bit of move. You get some type of story about the bean market. Maybe you could get a pop. I don't know. I'd sure like to see that happen. Like I said, we're off to a pretty good start. I like where we're at, though. We got we got all the new crop, our new crop price, about 30% of the beans price, going to be to 40%, hopefully, with an average above $11. There's some decent prices out there in corn. If corn can hang in here through the month of Feb, we get that average decent. There's some great insurance plays out there this coming year. I think those are going to look really good for the farmer, look good for all of us. If we really probably max out that insurance, I think we'll be all right through 2026. I think I think the economy's hanging in there. I think this AI is scaring the hell out of everyone. It scares me as well. And, but I think it's going to do a lot of really good things. But I think there are going to be some challenges, like we said. So, but overall, I think, like I said, that stock market's damn near at all-time highs. You got gold at all-time highs. You got housing market damn near at all-time highs.
It is crazy when you say. I know. It's when you say that out loud. It's like, seriously, it's nuts. And then you listen to your
gold, silver, copper, just lots of things. Got land prices. Hell, look at farmland price. I mean, damn near. They haven't broke hardly any. I tried to bid on some more ground the other day, and I did happen to find almost 200 acres came up, and the parents have built their kind of dream home on it, a really cool log home. They ran some cattle on it, about 220 acres. Good water, has a nice big lake. Well, not a lake, just about a 6-acre pond, but pretty damn good size. And the parents both passed away and left it to the two boys, and one boy's in Colorado and the other boy's in New York, and they just don't want it. So I may get it. I don't know.
Where's it at?
Throw a low ball in. It's up by where I'm not going to tell you exactly where it is.
No, but I might. You might send me a picture. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, so I don't know. It might be something we might.
But you're saying you were going to.
I've already talked to them an offer. We're going to see if they take my ball off.
But you were going to say that because of that experience, you're saying land prices are holding pretty good.
Oh, land prices are holding steady. Yeah, but there are instances where you may pick up smart, like this instance. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Neither of the boys farm. They need to liquidate it, and there haven't been many bites around, so, maybe I get a shot at a low ball here somehow. But every low ball offer I've thrown in, I ain't even sniffed it. I mean, not even come close. And so, yeah, I don't know. People obviously got money. I think people have money, so I guess.
Well, I'll leave you with this, buddy. If the view out my window means anything, then you can sleep a little better with your bullish wheat position. We were looking. I mean, we had some beautiful looking green emerge beautiful. We haven't had rain hardly since October. I mean, it is. I'm looking out and it matches the corn stalks, the color.
It's dry.
It's a popcorn fart out here. So, and I don't know how big I need to go look and see, but we'll definitely keep an eye on potential drought. And I'm going to get Garrett.
I think there's going to be some drought spots. Yeah, I'm with you. I think there's going to be some weather.
Some spots. It's going to be spotty. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm sitting in these short positions in this corn and beans now. I'm not going to be in them too long. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like digging in here or anything. So I'm thinking there's a little bit of downside room, and then I'm going to probably shift gears a little and get in closer to the U.S. weather season and maybe make a little move, switch those up a little bit, see if we can catch a pop to the upside. Well,
and the other thing that I didn't mention earlier is from everybody I'm talking to, dude, I'm not seeing 94, 93 or 4 million corn acres. I'm still seeing 98 getting planted, maybe. So I don't know.
A lot of people talking north of 96 for sure, and that's kind of scary.
So that's right.
Come on. I mean, shit. There's a lot of weather that's got to play out. You got to have good weather. I mean,
right. You can't control that. But I'm just saying, intention-wise, right now, I would say that I'd have to put my money in, not change it now. Weather will obviously dictate some of those. So.
Well, that's kind of what worries me. If corn stays up here and it stays steady, and the insurance price stays around $4.50. And they break beans, and you get beans down closer to $10.50 or sub $10.50, shit, yeah, you got to believe the corn acres are going to roll. And that's a tough one.
Besides that, I think a lot of these fringe corn acres made it pencil because they outproduced, so they might be riding that bias and think they're going to do it again this year.
Yeah, you're right, because they had a great year last year on that.
Hard to shake that feeling sometimes, and then that gets you in a bad way.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
All right, brother. Well, listen, appreciate your time as always, Kevin. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, see you. Bye.